Army shaken. Bang Si Hyuk finally opens his voice. The reason Taehyung is desperate to follow Jungkook to Tokyo alone makes anyone's heart choke. What really happened between the two of them? Is it about betrayal, old wounds, or unspoken love? Do you still remember how Tokyo was once a silent witness of a mysterious moment that left the entire ARMY world speechless? When one by one fan site cameras captured Jungkook's presence in the metropolis, many thought it was just a casual trip. However, everything changed completely when another figure appeared a few days later, alone, without staff, without a manager, without even the official spotlight.
Taehyung.
Kim Taehyung. The question now is not just why, but why should it be so quietly and abruptly? Why does Taehyung seem to be in such a hurry, as if there's something he wants to pursue? Or perhaps someone he can't lose his grip on, and when all began to sink into speculation, one rarely speaking name came to the surface bringing answers that no one was ready to hear. Bang Si Hyuk. Yes, the man dubbed the father of BTS has finally broken his silence. In a private, closed-door interview that was later leaked to several inner circles, the sentence that came out of his mouth carried a load that even words could not parse. I don't want to say it, but Taehyung has a very deep personal reason for catching up with Jungkook. And no, it's not about work. Bang Si Hyuk, in an instant, everything shook. ARMY trembled. The world is silent. Because when Bang Si Hyuk mentions personal reasons, it's not just a phrase. That's code. That code has been hidden behind Taehyung's fading smile in recent weeks, behind Jungkook's blank stare in his live, and behind their budding interactions. Awkward, I asked this about a fight? Is Jungkook running away from something that can only be solved by Taehyung's presence in person? Is this about Jimin's message that made Taehyung leave the rehearsal room without a word? Or is there something deeper? I think Taehyung feels like he's too late.
But he still wants to try.
Even if it means flying alone to a foreign country, without any guarantees. Another sentence from Bang Si Hyuk, which is now viral in the closed fan community. What does "it's too late" mean? Too late to apologize? Is it too late to say something that has been hidden? Or even more so too late to save a person who began to sink into loneliness? What makes all of this even more emotional is the fact that Taehyung never posted anything during his time in Tokyo. Not one. No Instagram, no story, not even a silent selfie that is usually so soothing ARMY. He completely disappeared from the radar and appeared only once. It was even from the camera of a fan who photographed him from afar, wearing a huge hoodie, face covered with a mask, walking slowly at the train station with a blank look. Meanwhile, Jungkook, who was previously seen with the dance team and his old friends, also suddenly disappeared from the public. And the only surprising thing happened when at night, from the balcony of a 5-star hotel, two silhouettes stood side by side, silent, looking at each other, but not talking. The remote camera caught him, but only a shadow, and here, Bang Si Hyuk's confession becomes the center of the storm. Taehyung didn't come to bring Jungkook home. They come because they feel he was the only one who could hold her in silence.
Bang Si Hyuk. That sentence. Stab.
Slicing. Because behind the word hug, there is something more than a hug. There was trauma. There's a cut. There is an unfinished story. The ARMY began to remember one small piece after another that had been considered trivial. Like when Jungkook plays Taehyung's favorite song in his live broadcast, but quickly stops it. Or when Taehyung is caught on camera holding the same pendant that he and Jungkook once wore during a Love Yourself concert. All of that now feels like a clue, a hidden message trying to speak in silence. And the most surprising? When a longtime HYBE staffer, whose name is kept secret, confesses that Taehyung had written a handwritten letter before leaving for Tokyo. The letter was not delivered, but the content of the letter, according to sources, is what made Bang Si Hyuk shed tears while reading it. I don't know if you still want to see me, but I'm coming, because I'd rather be hated by you than I continue to live with regret for not trying. Excerpt from Taehyung's letter to Jungkook, the leaked and unverified version. Did I ask this about love? Friendship? Or a complex combination of the two that only they both understand? Bang Si Hyuk even implies that the Tokyo trip was Taehyung's final decision to save something that was being destroyed secretly. And when asked by one of the interviewers, is it about their relationship? Bang PD answer is only one. There's too much I can say for sure, but obviously, it's not about the song, it's not about the project, and it's not about the content. Bang Si Hyuk. Then what? What really happened in Tokyo? Why did Jungkook look calmer after that night? And why did Taehyung return to Korea the next day without a single word coming out of his lips? Did something end that night? Or is it a new beginning that begins in silence? The army can only wait. But for now, one thing is certain. Bang Si Hyuk wouldn't be talking like this if it wasn't for something that completely changed direction. The only possible direction so far is for them, Taehyung and Jungkook, to understand the end. The night in Tokyo is over. But his mark was like a trail of wounds that never dried up in the hearts of the soldiers who began to realize there was something deeper, darker, and more personal that was happening. All this time we thought BTS's togetherness was the perfect story, maybe even unshakable. But who would have thought that, behind their laughter and warm greetings on stage, a storm was slowly hitting from the inside? What is surprising is how this was never leaked to the media, never read by the public, until Bang Si Hyuk himself finally opened the emotional door that had been locked tightly. But why now? Why not when it all happened? Is this a last-ditch attempt to explain to the world that love, in whatever form it takes, sometimes needs silence, sometimes it needs wounds, and sometimes need a farewell? The fans who watched Taehyung and Jungkook interact in the past 2 years began to connect one by one that previously seemed unrelated. Jungkook Young suddenly deleted some of his posts. Taehyung suddenly uploads a painting full of symbols of sadness. Then their live, which appears less and less together, although officially their group is still one. And now, Bang Si Hyuk's sentence seems to be the opening key to all the signs that we have been ignoring. They both experienced something that is not easy to explain. But I can see, one of them was drowning, and the other chose to sink rather than leave the first one alone. Bang Si Hyuk, how are we, as an army, supposed to understand such a heavy sentence? Does this mean that one of them, Taehyung or Jungkook, is on the edge of an emotional limit? Is there any pressure, whether from the family, the public, or even from within yourself, that makes their relationship so fragile? Or rather, the relationship is too strong, to the extent that the world around them is incapable of accepting undefined intimacy. Shortly after Bang Si Hyuk's statement circulated among insiders, another shocking statement emerged. A former BTS manager who no longer works at HYB since last year expressed recognition through personal media. I can't explain all the details, but one night, Taehyung was crying in the waiting room, holding his earphones and playing back Jungkook's singing voice, only to hear him say, "I can't go on like this, Tae." Suddenly, everyone who read the confession was silent. Emotions are calling. Is the sentence pronounced in the context of fatigue, farewell, or the fear of admitting deeper feelings? A lot of ARMY goes back to the old days, to the old fan cam, to the laugh-filled interactions between the two. They try to reread body language that might have been too innocent to be taken seriously, but now, with Bang Si Hyuk's new backstory, it all feels like unheard of messages from a wounded heart. There is a moment that is now viral again. Short video during the Permission to Dance concert in LA. At that moment, Taehyung tries to hug Jungkook from behind and the magne looks surprised, but doesn't refuse. He closed his eyes, as if letting himself drown in an embrace that would not last long. And now we all know, that moment wasn't just a sweet interaction for fan service. Some fans even reshared Taehyung's comments in one of the old V-Lives. Sometimes, I was afraid of losing someone I thought would always be there. One sentence, one taste, one wound did I essay about Jungkook. On the other hand, Jimin's role also began to be discussed. Jimin, who is known as the liaison between the members, has recently seemed more and more secretive. He didn't even attend Taehyung's birthday dinner, which he usually goes to. Does it have anything to do with Taehyung's trip to Tokyo? Does Jimin know something we don't? One of the sources revealed that Jimin had written something in a notebook that he brought with him during the production of his solo album, and the cut of the sentence surprised anyone who read it. I once separated two friends unknowingly. And when they finally talked back, I felt it's too late. Does Jim feel guilty? Is Jimin's silence a form of deep regret that he cannot spill in front of the camera? And more importantly, what exactly happened between Jungkook and Taehyung on that silent night of Tokyo? Some speculate that they just talked, forgave each other, and came back as best friends. But most of the army who saw their body gestures aft. The letter is not long, not written on fancy paper, just ripped from a hotel notebook with handwriting that seemed to shake. And somehow, the letter was never given in person. It was just left on the desk just before Taehyung left Tokyo that morning. The letter, which Jungkook said he only read in silence, behind the window of his hotel room, as the sun just touched the horizon of a city that holds too many secrets. I want to hug you, but I know that hug won't fix what we broke together. I know you're trying. I tried, too. But sometimes love is not about who gives up first, but who chooses first to stop hurting each other. You will always be the song I remember the most. But maybe it's not what I sing anymore. V3 sentences, 3 wounds, and one decision that changed everything. After the letter was found, one of the staff who accompanied them on the trip finally spoke up. He called the night the quietest night in their history working with BTS. No laughter.
No loud goodbyes.
Only Taehyung's slow steps left the hotel lobby when the clock had not yet touched 5 a.m. And Jungkook nodded after him, not saying anything. He just stood on the balcony, looking at the sky that began to turn red. I've never seen Jungkook that empty. Even when losing, he can always hide. But that morning, he's kind of empty. It's like a part of him is gone. Hybe staff, name withheld, but the most surprising thing is not that. Rather the fact that Jimin already knew it all before Tokyo night even happened. An internal source said that 2 days before Jungkook and Taehyung's departure to Japan, Jimin decided not to contact the two. He even declined the invitation to join. When asked by the manager why, his answer left all who heard him speechless. I am not a savior. I've tried to bring them together, but maybe it's time to let them save themselves. Or release each other. Jimin, 2 days before departure for Tokyo. What did Jimin really see? Did he witness the breach of trust? Or maybe he knew a feeling that more than just a best friend was growing between the two. Many refer to Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship as brotherly. But there are also many who have long felt that there is something inexplicable. Too deep intimacy. Too long gaze. A touch too frank to be considered just acting in front of the camera. And now, it's like opening a wound that's been kept clean by everyone, even by themselves. One HYB insider who works in the artistic division claimed to have read Jungkook's creative notes when he wrote lyrics for a demo song that was never released. In it, written a line that was like a pent-up scream. If I could rewind time, I would never want to know you, because then I won't have to learn to lose you. Was the song written for Taehyung? And if so, why was it never released? Did HYB know that the song was too honest? Too naked? On the other hand, the public began to question Bang Si Hyuk's role in all of this. Why is he talking now? Why precisely after the rumors of the separation of the two began to emerge? He gave a statement that seemed to confirm that something had broken and could not be returned. Some fans even began to theorize that this breakup was due not only to personal problems, but also to pressure from an industrial system that demanded perfection. Even in matters of the heart, HYB is known for its tight control over the public narrative of its artists. So if Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is too close, it's too legible, is that considered a threat? More surprisingly, in an internal leaked document that had circulated in limited circles, there was an artistic code of conduct called distancing for preservation, a strategy of emotional distance between members in order to maintain the group's image. If this policy is applied to Jungkook and Taehyung, then Tokyo night is not just a farewell night, but a night of cold, planned, emotionally lethal policy execution. However, as usual, the members will never say it directly. They will continue to smile, look down in the interview, and answer questions with neutral words. We are fine. The army knows, not every word can hide a wound, and that night Tokyo's silent night bears witness to two hearts that love each other too deeply but are too tired to endure. Today, armies around the world are starting to send messages of hope on social platforms. With the hashtags hashtag we still believe in Taehyung and hashtag let them be honest, they ask for only one thing from the world. Let them be honest if it can heal, but maybe it's too late.